A good leader takes a focused approach to achieve their goals. They focus on their targets and reach their destination without fail. Today, as part of leadership series by Global TV, we bring one such leader who has achieved success by focusing on his goals. Air Marshal T.D. Joseph. Welcome to this discussion on leadership by Global TV.
Thank you, Tom, and good morning to you.
Air Marshal T.D. Joseph is a Category A qualified flying instructor. He was Air Force Chief Examiner, Chief Operations Officer, Commander of Hindon Air Base, Air Defense Commander of Southwestern and Eastern Sectors, Senior Air Staff Officer at Headquarters Training Command. Above all, he is a fighter pilot who has flown aircrafts like MiG-23, MiG-27, and all types of trainer aircrafts. He has written a book titled Winning India's Next War, Role of Aerospace Power, and several articles on air power and national security. He is also the recipient of Vayu Sena Medal in 2003, Vishisht Seva Medal in 2010, and Ati Vishisht Seva Medal in 2021. He is an alumnus of National Defence Academy, Defence Services Staff College, Wellington, Royal College of Defence Studies in London, and King's College London. Thank you, Air Marshal T.D. Joseph, for joining this discussion on leadership. I'm sure our viewers and listeners will be enlightened by your words of wisdom.
Thank you for inviting me, Tom. It's always a pleasure to meet you and catch up with you. We go many, many years back, many decades back, I should say. And it's great catching up with you after such a long, long gap. I'm glad to be part of this process.
Yeah, it's nice to have you because I'm sure that the listeners will definitely be gaining some good knowledge from your experiences. Now, let me start with a basic question. What do you think is an important or very important quality of a good leader?
Firstly, to be a leader, you got to have followers, right? If you don't have followers, you won't have leaders. You could be in positions of power by appointment, like in the military services.
Right.
People would respect you, people would obey you. That is because of your position. But to be a leader, I think it is a little different. All right.
Yeah.
Leader, obviously, or if you look at great leaders, you will always find a great amount of knowledge with them.
Okay.
A degree of professionalism. And most importantly, to be an effective leader, actually, I think what is important is knowing your followers, knowing your subordinates, knowing their needs, empathize with the situations that they are in.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it goes in compassion and being able to listen to what they have to say. It's very easy to continue with a monologue as a boss, as a leader, and keep conveying your vision all the time. But if you don't pause to listen to what they have to convey, I think you will lose half of it. So I feel it's always important to be a good listener as a leader. And you have to have a goal that you want to lay out, right?
Absolutely.
And if you want, and along with that goes, you can have, as a leader, you can have a way of, okay, this is how I intend to do it.
Yes.
Another way is saying, okay, this is what we need to achieve. I think these are some of the points that you could convey your ways of doing it beforehand, or you say, okay, in order to achieve this, you all are experts. You first of all, you encourage them. Okay. When you come across a situation like this, I think it's a good idea, and I have always believed in it. Encourage the people who have requisite skills.
Right.
Encourage them to elicit their views on how to achieve those goals. And when you do that, you'll find that people come out and by listening to them, they feel that we are important. And if they feel they are important,
yes,
they get a sense of ownership towards those goals.
Okay.
And if there is a sense of ownership, they take it as their own, and they will work day and night to ensure that the vision that has been laid out before them is achieved. It's important to make your team realize that
Okay.
the goal is theirs and not
All right.
yours. To put it in one or two words, know your followers,
Okay.
understand them, listen to them, make
Right.
them participants in your goals.
Excellent. I think the summary is that make your goal the goal of your followers, and they will find means and ways of achieving the goals. So a leader's job is done.
It is absolutely done. And thereafter, you monitor what is being done. You
Right.
give them corrections, course corrections whenever needed. But you'll
Right.
always find that the team will come out with really good ideas.
That's right. So you just direct them to the goal and wait for them to come out with solution, and make sure you do your course correction if required. All right. Now coming to something very important, which I wanted to touch base. I'm sure as a leader, you did not become a leader overnight. You would have shown some leadership qualities when you were a child or when you're growing up. So, what has been your experience? Whether you showed some leadership qualities in your early years, or you built it up maybe after you joined your National Defense Academy or things like that?
It's an interesting question because you and I come from somewhat similar backgrounds, if you recollect.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, from rural areas in Kerala.
Right.
I was farmer's son. Okay,
Same with me.
I am a
So,
farmer's son. All right.
yes.
Okay. So we studied in local schools, and interestingly, there were some organizations like a newspaper that you worked with who
Yes.
had a children's league. They used to have these cultural activities. And suddenly one found that, you end up speaking out there, you end up singing out there. And then there would be some annual camps. And when you go for the annual camps, somehow, I don't know what it was, but it emerged that people started looking towards you when you started speaking. And then they would elect you as a small team leader. And then you have activities. So I think maybe it's the circumstances, the environment that brings out the leadership in you, the encouragement probably that you would receive at home, or you see your elders, how they deal with people, and then you imbibe those things. The environment that you grow up as a child in kind of trains you for it. And of course, as you grow up in the future, the bigger environment, the job environment, the universities, the academies that we in the armed forces train in, that gives you
Right.
many, many more opportunities. And I must tell you, the school that we studied in, Loyola School, right?
Yes.
We've both of us faced different challenges when we reached that, or
Absolutely.
similar kind of challenges as compared to the people who were already there, because we changed our board of education, we changed our medium of learning from Malayalam to English at a later
Absolutely.
stage in life, in class 8 and things like that. And it was a struggle, right?
Absolutely.
We do go through tough times. Most of us came out extremely well out of those tough times. And if you recollect Father C.P. Workey,
Yes.
a person who always encouraged, he, of course, he gave you, was a principal, and who kind of intervened to give corrections where required, but he also gave positive strokes. I found myself one day, he called me and said, "You are the school basketball captain," and that was a shock to me. But then that gives you kind of confidence, that gives you kind
Yes.
of confidence in yourself that you can do some, probably you are something.
Right.
These are the
Right.
initial,
Right.
as a teenager. As a teenager, these are the initial, inputs that you get, that you could be counted upon.
Your environment plays a part in your leadership development, subconsciously
Big time.
maybe. Without your knowledge, it works on your psyche, so that you develop leadership qualities at that age itself. And intervention from people like you mentioned, Father C.P. Workey, also helps in building up your leadership skills, which becomes useful at a later stage. Very
Yes,
nice,
indeed.
very nice observation, and very good to know it has happened in your life. Now that brings to me another question: has there been any person who has influenced you in your leadership journey?
Yeah. Definitely many, I would say. In my career, you get posted to different stations, different units, different combat units,
Yeah.
and you have commanding officers, you have very senior officers whom you observe and learn from.
Right.
And to go back in childhood itself, some of your teachers make the future leaders of the nation, actually, in a way. It is just not an academic one-to-one interaction between the student and the teacher. Many teachers go out of their way to tell you stories or incidents about great leaders, which is not part of the curriculum. Many teachers go out of their way to narrate you incidents and how people react to those, how people deal with those situations.
That's true. That's true.
And they kind of give you tidbits on how people become good leaders. And that kind of stays with you.
Okay.
Right. And even the principals, we all look up to the principals in schools when they speak, and then they quote various famous leaders and things like that.
That's right.
But that apart, so there are some teachers and others. That apart, I must say that in my career, I've definitely come across some serious, exceptional professionals.
Okay.
Okay, in military, let's say in the armed forces, people think that you are very tough, you are very grim-faced, kind of serious-faced all the time. It is not so. You find the good leaders, they're serious when they need to be. Otherwise, they're smiling, they're with you. Okay, and some of them have been such professionals. Knowledge is the repository of power, and we talk about this being the century of knowledge. Today, knowledge is actually power, but I feel it has always been so.
That's right.
So there are about 3 or 4 senior officers who went on to become air marshals and commanders in chief, whom I know.
Okay.
Who I have kind of idolized.
Okay.
For one, their knowledge.
Okay.
2, their professionalism.
Okay.
3, I must say their clarity in thought.
All right.
And 4, the ability, as I mentioned earlier, ability to understand the requirements of the subordinates.
Okay.
And finally, practice what they preach. They always practiced what they preached.
That makes good followers.
Yep. And they will set the right examples. They will set examples and they will go by it.
Okay.
They ask you to do something, they will be there to do it themselves. That is, there are I don't want to take the names of things, but knowledge is extremely important. Professionalism is extremely important. Being able to keep a team together is very important. And there are many senior officers whom I have seen. And I've also seen people who have not been so successful in the career in my life, who said, for example, there was a person, extremely good professional, but circumstances, actually, happened that in such a way that he couldn't go up in the career. There was kind of an obstacle in his career, obstruction in his career path.
Okay.
But he decided to quit. But till the last day, he was working 100%. He was giving his heart and soul to this organization that he was working in. And obviously, he's gone on, he left the Indian Air Force, and he also was an Air Force examiner like me. And he left at a pretty middle stage of his career. He went on to join an airline, and in fact, two or three airlines in sequence, and went on to do extremely well. But I would look at this person and say, here is a person who could have just said, why should I be working, neither the organization not giving me the due rewards that I deserve. But instead, he said, this is my organization. This is a career that I've chosen. I will work till the last day that I'm with it.
I think it shows true professionalism in his approach. And he's a true leader, which he demonstrated elsewhere.
Character is extremely important.
That's right. That's right. Now, in your career, I'm sure you would have come across a lot of issues and problems and situations where you have to really take out your leadership skills. Can you think of any such incidents which, got you really involved and then, you struggled to come out of it? And what has been the way out? Like, what really helped you to come out of it?
Definitely, there are situations like for example, let's say more than as a leader, as an Air Force examiner, for example, I had to test many pilots, or
Right,
like it's air crew examiner. Okay,
right,
so and some of it involved career defining upgradations in their qualifications and categories and things like that. And you would
right,
come across situations when your friends, those who have been your junior colleagues, and who in turn became your friends, they are the ones who are preparing for these kind of tests. But then, as a true leader, truthful professional, you have to
right.
throw out any biases.
Absolutely.
You could be influenced by associations of your past friendship and past relations. Okay, so one has had to take tough decisions, tough calls, where you tell your friend, sorry, you haven't measured up, so I can't give you this, and better luck next. But then you always leave with an encouraging message. Better luck next time. You can do it definitely.
The lesson is like you need to actually be very objective when you are dealing with your team around you. So, who deserves to be, you need to give them what they deserve to get.
One of the challenges was when I was a commander of a fighter squadron, that we had a special role to play. Okay, I wouldn't say what it is. I had to ensure that people train and qualify in those specific roles and have maximum number of people who are qualified for that. But for
Okay.
that, in order to do that, you are dependent upon the climatic conditions that you operate in. Climate is a big challenge in aviation. In any case, you also have to ensure that you have adequate resources. At times, that could be a challenge. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think at that time I do remember very clearly telling my immediate commander who was dealing with the operations and the engineering head. I said, listen, this is our goal. Let us not keep struggling all through the year to meet those goals. Let us see what are the good periods. It's good environment, good climatically, the good period for flying, for example. And therefore, I said, let's focus on producing maximum during that time. And during the bad weather period, let us not be coming to work unnecessarily and sitting waiting for the weather. Instead of that, let's fly less. Let us bring up our resources, the availability and serviceability of our resources, the aeroplanes and the weapons and the systems. And let's catch up during the good days. And that helped us a lot. And I was fortunate that my flight commander, my number two, and the senior technical officer both said, "So you gave us the freedom to operate."
I think your philosophy, giving freedom to people around you, really helps. Because end of the day, as you said, it becomes their goal and they will struggle to achieve their goals.
I can recall two definite occasions. Aviation is a risky business. One of this dealt with aviation itself, where somebody had made some mistakes, and being the commander on site at that time, I had grounded him as a punishment while some inquiries were on. And after everything was on, I said I had taken this decision, so I said, okay, I'll clear him now.
Okay.
But then there was some official rule: no, you cannot clear him. You have to, it's a higher organization that it does, which I had kind of not looked at the fine print. So when questions started coming and they said, you blame his commanding officer, you must, he's done it, he's not advised you properly. So I did. It was a challenge for me. I said, none of them are at fault, because I'm the one who took the decision to punish him, and I'm the one who cleared him to start operating. So you can't blame somebody else who is below me for that. And this was in the business of aviation, and later on also in a big national scale occasion which was being conducted in my base. And once again, where there are 1,000 details, or which people,
Yes,
and there are
yes.
various teams which looking into this. Some of the team members made some errors. Of course, that then gets gathers attention, and then people at very, very senior level or even outside the organization start pointing fingers.
Okay.
And so then somebody in the higher up in the chain is forced to make an investigation or tell, okay, find out who's at fault. So once again, I said the final decision was ultimately, final clearance was ultimately with me.
Okay.
So if I'm the one who's given, and in one of the one part where something was overlooked out of an oversight on the last minute, I said I'm the one who had a final look, and I'm the one who approved it. So why blame somebody else? So learn to take the blame. That's a big challenge. Your organization, whenever your team does well, the leader always get the kudos.
Right.
The leader will always get the kudos. Okay, and you feel proud. No, I got it done, and things like that. But it's also important to remember, whenever something goes wrong, you should say the buck stops here.
Excellent. Very nice. I'm sure today, in today's world, this is a lesson which should go into the youngsters, because this is not something which we see being in most of the organizations around us, especially if it is the political leadership or any such leadership. They always try to, blame it on somebody else when things go wrong. I think it's something which the youngsters should take and accept and appreciate and learn in their day-to-day approach to leadership. Very nice. Very nice.
One needs to understand and accept the fact that all of us make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. So,
That's true.
and no one progresses in life. Like it's always said, a child doesn't start to learn to walk without falling down.
You're right.
Falls down, he or she falls down and gets up and continues to walk, and the elation in having successfully taken those few steps ahead, then propels that child forward. Similar is the case with any fledgling career of any youngster. You
Absolutely.
will not always be successful. You will not always succeed in whatever you want to do. You will have many failures, many challenges. And the trick is in accepting that there can be failures, but I need to get up. I need to get up, stand up, and move forward.
You're perfectly right. You have been a fighter pilot. Now, are there some specific qualities which are required for a fighter pilot, or is it just the normal leadership qualities?
To be a fighter pilot, of course, basic knowledge of science itself is very, very important. Physics and mathematics, especially, and your psychomotor skills. Okay. And always, we undergo a rigorous selection process after having cleared the examination. Then there's a 5-day interview process called Service Selection Board. Out of the 5 days, 1 day is mostly spent in checking your psychomotor skills in flying. And the rest of the days is the assessors are doing is, how good a team man are you? Are you willing to work with others, willing to subordinate your ambitions to somebody else's who's probably come up with a better idea? Work with them, and when the situation requires, stand up and say, I can help out in the situation. That's teamwork, right? Okay. So this then followed by intelligence tests, followed by psychological tests like thematic aptitude test and those kind of things. You get some 15 seconds to view a picture, I think, and then you write for the next 1 minute whatever comes to your mind first. It tells you what kind of an attitude you have. What kind of orientation you have psychologically, a positive bent of mind or negative bent of mind, and those things come out in that. And at the end of it all, once you cleared, let me tell you, probably 3 or 4 out of 100 people who are called for an interview in a week clear it.
Wow.
There are occasions probably when there could be 10 or 20. That's a very, very it's an exceptional circumstance. Okay, and there are many occasions when nobody out of the 100 would have cleared. Right. So, and thereafter you go for an intense medical evaluation process. Okay. Once again, I think it extends over 4 days actually. Okay,
Oh,
well, your everything from your toe to your hair is all examined, evaluated. Your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, all your organs, everything is tested out. Because after all, you are on your own in a fighter cockpit once you go up there. So that's a process of selecting, and thereafter, the training. Once you start your training, it is not
yeah.
everybody starts as a fighter pilot.
Okay.
Okay, like for example, we started flying training. I think with about 88 odd people in that batch
Okay.
of mine. Of it's a 6 month. This we every 6 months there is a course. Okay,
Okay.
these numbers would vary depending upon how many clear the
Qualifies.
exam,
Yeah.
how many meet the criteria and things like that. And out of the 88, at the end of 1 year, nearly 30 did not make it. They had to choose different careers. The flying standards requirements are military flying standards are very, very stringent. You don't get an
Right.
eternity to learn flying. Okay, you're time bound and things like that. And within that, depending upon your aptitude and also a personal choice, you are selected. Everybody meets a basic minimum criteria to become a fighter pilot. Out of that, then based on individual's choice, instructor's recommendation, and the chief flying instructor's recommendation, or people are given fighter stream, transport stream, or helicopter stream. Some of them go on to become navigators who could not finish the entire flying, but who still have some capacity to
Skills.
be a
Yeah.
member of the team. Okay, so that is how it is. But being a fighter pilot itself, we deal in seconds and at times microseconds. Colonel John Boyd of the U.S. Air Force,
Yeah.
he's a great strategist, and he came out with this thing called OODA loop: observe, orientate, decide, act.
Okay.
Okay, so the shorter your OODA loop, that it's a cycle. You're flying around as a team, doing a combat situation and things like that. There, based on your skills and experience, you observe and analyze the situation. Observe is you observe what is today. It's of course all technologically aided too. You have everything on your computer screen. In our early days of fighter flying, for example, one had to do this all visually while flying those aeroplanes under tremendous gravitational forces being acted upon you. You observe what the adversary is doing. You analyze, you evaluate and analyze
Okay.
what is his intention, where is he likely to be, say, a few seconds from now, where is your team member. So, and based on that analysis and evaluation of the situation, you decide what is the next maneuver, or how are you going to maneuver.
Okay.
That's the decision part, and based on the decision, you immediately act. And this happens in, like I said, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and that's all that you've got to act upon it. So the quicker you're able to observe, orientate, and decide.
Your ability to take decisions in a short span of time in a very accurate manner decides your success as a fighter pilot.
Absolutely. And how does this happen? Your knowledge, your flying skill,
Yeah.
knowledge of the systems that you have,
Correct.
knowledge of the tactics that you're supposed to follow, and the training in it.
Nice.
Okay, and the skills that you develop through this training. That's extremely important. Okay, and now obviously psychomotor skills once again play a very important role. Your reflexes.
I think we have got a gist of your idea of what leadership is, which I think the core subject or core thing is your knowledge, your ability to get your team members to accept or understand what is the goal, and they take it from there how to achieve this goal, and then you become a successful leader. Your job is to make sure they focus on the end results, and if course correction is required, you give the required course correction as and when required. Now, as a leader, some leaders really enjoy being there because they find it's a joy to be a leader. Some leaders, for them, it's stressful. I'm sure you would have come across both the type of leaders. They take positions, but at the same time, they find it to be very stressful to be in that position. So, what is your style? Are you a person who enjoys your leadership, or you find it?
I have enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it.
I've always enjoyed. Okay. I've enjoyed being a team member. I've enjoyed being a worker along with the team. And when situations brought me to, positions where you have to decide for the overall interest of the society. And being a fighter pilot is not just looking at a fighter pilot. Fighter flying is a totally different setup. When you become a commander, when you have given positions, responsibility, you have a much larger community. After all, fighter pilots by themselves are probably just about 100th or maybe 150th of the, let's say, Indian Air Force as such. But that's the core fighting element. That's the cutting edge, cutting edge of our combat capability. All right. So, and let me also tell you before I come to that point, as a fighter pilot, when you go up as a leader, we become, with your experience and going through certain number of clearance sorties. Sorties when you get airborne and then come back and land after doing whatever exercises you have to do in the mission, and then you come back. That's a sortie. Some of these, they're clearance sorties you do and become a 2 aircraft leader, which means you are clear to lead a 2 aircraft formation, later on a 4 aircraft formation, and later a much larger packages. When if you're a leader, if you're leading a package, let's say you're leading a mission with about 20 or 30 or 40 aircraft, the planning process, everybody's involved, but then once you are launched, once you get airborne for that mission, your people, your wingmen, as we call, they depend on you for the correct decisions. They repose their trust in you as a leader of the mission that you will do the right thing. You will take them to the objective safely, or you will take the right decision with their assistance, of course, their assistance, their observation and systems on board, everything, to shoot down the adversary, for example, or to go and target the adversary's critical infrastructure, or whatever you choose to target. But all along this, you will do it safely, and they will cling on to you. Cling on to you in figurative terms. Okay? Right. They expect you to achieve that mission. They expect you to bring them back safely. It's an equation of mutual trust, actually. The biggest enjoyment is when you see results. Okay. Those results may not happen during a tenure. Some of it happens, some of them are short-term goals, and then you see them happening. But some of it is, if you're a good leader, you will not, I feel, one should not look at immediate results. But when you go back and see that what you had originally envisioned and you hand it over to your successor, and that bears fruition. My advice to any leader would be, if you are loyal to your organization, if you are loyal to the organization, don't look at personal glory. Okay. Don't look at results to be shown in my time. I did this, I did that. Please, stay away from such temptations. Okay, so one should in fact be looking at what is good for the organization, what is good for my people, my team, what is. Okay, so even if it takes 10 years, 6 years from hence, let it be. I've laid the foundation for it. I've sowed the seeds. It will grow up and bear fruit eventually. Now, we're very preachy, I know, but then that's the truth.
That's true. It's a true leadership. I mean, doesn't depend on the current results, but depends on what is the long-term outcome of your decisions. Very nice. I mean, just to conclude, what would you advise the youngsters who are aspiring to be leaders for tomorrow? If you have to give 2 advices to them, what would that be?
Okay, one is, let's say, I will like to digress from, if I may, digress from the aspect of leaders.
No problem.
One is, as a youngster, it's very, very important to dream.
Okay.
Dream about what you wish to be, what you like to be, and follow your dreams. Because if you follow your dreams, as I mentioned earlier about in the decision-making process, if you in a teamwork, if you follow your dreams, You become responsible for your actions. You become responsible for making your dream become a reality.
That's right.
Therefore, if the success or the failure of it is your responsibility, you can't blame for anyone else, right? Okay, but if someone else thrusts, parents have this penchant of, some parents, not all. No. Actually, I wanted to become a doctor. I couldn't because of whatever be the circumstance. I want my child to be a doctor. But the child says, I want to be a musician. Yeah. So if you're a child, if you're interested, I want to be a musician. And if the child says sticks to that and becomes a musician, he or she may go on to become a great musician. Look at Santosh Shivan, our classmate. His
Absolutely.
dream was to become, though he followed his father's footsteps, but that was his dream, to become a cinematographer. And he became the first Indian and probably the second Asian to become to be a member of the American Society of Cinematographers. And he's won so many national awards. Follow your dream. My own personal things, Tom, if I may tell you. Somewhere in 8th or 9th, when I was reading about the 71 war reports, newspaper reports, and the stories that would come out in magazines.
I think it was earlier. We were in 6th or 7th. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but the reading of it, most of it, happened a year or two later. So in about, I do remember in class 7th and 8th, it happened when we were in class 7, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And 8th and 9th, reading about it, I said, yeah, somewhere this idea came to mind. As fighter pilots have done something very interesting. I want to be a fighter pilot.
Very nice.
That was the first time it struck. Okay. And then that's also the time you find that some of his seniors have gone through National Defense Academy, gone to join National Defense Academy in the Air Force. So why in the Air Force? You become a fighter pilot. So you get an idea. As life progresses, your parents wanted you to be something else because of whatever rewards and pay and those kind of things. Your eldest brother, who's about 18 years older than you, wiser in the times of that world, wanted you to join civil service and things like that. But then I said, in my back of my mind, you listen to everybody. So I want to become a fighter pilot. I went on. I'm fortunate. I'm blessed. I consider myself blessed that I could realize that dream. But once, if that's your dream, it becomes yours.
Yes.
Okay. So that is important. All aspiring leaders, aspiring professionals, follow your dream.
Okay.
Dream and follow your dream. Second, I mentioned earlier, this is a century of knowledge.
Okay.
Ensure you have knowledge, not just narrow knowledge of your own profession, but much wider knowledge. Be aware of what's going around you. And actually speaking, to be a good leader of people, I would say treat others as you would like to be treated. Encourage others.
Encourage others. Make sure that your follower is taken care of and treated as you would like to be treated. And get as much knowledge as possible and dream big is your advice to the youngsters.
Appreciate good work done by the people around you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think we had a very, very interesting discussion. I could have gone on for another 1 hour or so, but I think it's a very short but very interesting discussion we had. Thank you so much for your time, Air Marshal T.D. Joseph, and wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And thanks for joining this discussion on Global TV.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for having me on this interview. And I wish all the viewers the very best. Dream on, and make your dreams a reality is my message.
Thank you.
Thank you.